Um, if we're talking about technique and not a certain project, then I would have to say, because I read tons of books, took tons of class, did tons of theater, right? But there were two books that were intrinsic in how it kind of changed the game for me internally, personally. And one of them was The Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler, because I think not just writers, but every director, every actor should read this book because I feel like it really helps you. It was the first thing that made, when we get sides and stuff, you're always, it's that question. Am I making the right choice on this guy? Am I doing the right things to build his background, even though it's not on the page, but we have to make it up. And for me, I was always doubting myself.
I remember that one conversations I would have with you, you would always be very serious about the craft. You would always you'd say, have you seen this movie or that movie? And you were always serious about independent films, art films, the craft, the whole thing, and I could see it, this industry it's hard for anybody that has gifts, to get into it. And then even though if there's an obstacle in your way, which, they always try to pigeonhole or typecast you in Asian, so there's an obstacle there, but you were just fighting that. You said, look, I could just see it in your personality. You're like, this is like, something that I'm really serious about and the craft of it, Wouldn't you say that, a lot of people will try to pigeonhole you. It's like, no, you're a stunt actor, or you don't understand.
Yeah, I got player hated on both sides. Like the action side, be like, oh yeah, dude, he's an actor, can't really blah blah blah. The acting side's like, oh dude, you don't want he just got that part because he knows all stunt people. Like it's like I'm like, I audition just like you. So it's like
yeah. You don't get the role unless you deserve the role.
Yes.
It's like being a comedian. You don't get laughs unless it's a laugh point.
Right, exactly. But
you've been working us a long time.
I pissed a lot of people off. I got to say, there's things that I did that wasn't the right way for like young actors coming up. Like I'm coming from New York. I understudied for years and years and years. But for me, like I was always like, it's never good enough. It's that attitude, right, that you put on yourself. So for me, it's like when I got with new agents, I would just be like, yo, what about this part? Blah, 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 blah. You got to get me in the fucking room. Da, da, da. I'm perfect for this, man. This is New Yorker, blah, blah, blah. My agent would go, yes, Ron, but he's Caucasian. Yeah, don't fucking say that to me. That's your job. You get me in the fucking room. You deal with that. Yeah. And I'm going to change their fucking mind. So it's like, it was that kind of thing where agents are like, is this motherfucker crazy? And I would be calling them because I'd be like demanding like, yo, why aren't we being seen as much as this? And I was waking up to the whole industry. And for me, it's just like, later on, I tell actors, don't be calling your agents all the time, email them, fax them at the time when we had faxes, that kind of thing. So by you calling them, you're kind of inhibiting them from doing their work, and you're just going to be a nuisance to them. So, but I had this fucking ego, like, yo, just get me in the room, I'll tear it up. So I had to calm that down. Yeah.
Really, would you say that? Because that's a component that you need. I mean, would you say that was something that was holding you back sometimes?
It was. I wouldn't change it, but yes, it probably did with my representation initially. But I learned quickly, but I think it's also that drive that pushes me to excel at everything that, I got to be better. It's part of that same thing. And I definitely would not want to lose that. So,
yeah. And what was when you're just starting to roll there, what would you say when you look back on and say, yeah, that's what I was really sinking my teeth into. And that was a technique that was really helping me out. And I was getting results with that. What was that? Some of those things?
If we're talking about technique and not a certain project, then I would have to say, because I read tons of books, took tons of class, did tons of theater, right? But there were two books that were intrinsic in how it kind of changed the game for me internally, personally. And one of them was The Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler, because I think not just writers, but every director, every actor should read this book because I feel like it really helps you. It was the first thing that made when we get sides and stuff, you're always, it's that question. Am I making the right choice on this guy? Am I doing the right things to build his background, even though it's not on the page, but we have to make it up. And for me, I was always doubting myself and questioning myself and stuff. So when I read The Writer's Journey, it just changed the game for me. Like I got right into what the writer's motivation was. And I kind of knew for me from all my past experience, then I was like, I can pick on choices that will complement his writing that he didn't necessarily write, but he could be like, yo, this guy thought about the process. So if you can get to the point where because most writers are producers on TV, and film. So you can get them to think that you actually thought about what's deeper than what just the sides, put out. So for me, the second book was Mindhunter.